Well, Danielle Wright, thanks so much for coming on Lessons of the Lashpreneur Show. Why don't you tell people about your business, where you're located, and a little bit about you?
Hi, well, thank you for having me today. Hi, I'm Danielle, aka Danny for short. I own a business here in Claremont, California called Organic Wellness Spa and Boutique. I just recently rebranded, so that's my new long full name. Here at Organic Wellness, we have a beautiful, cute little boutique where people could come in and shop, and then we have a nice little seating area to come in and relax, and our clients do take full advantage of that. Um, we mostly focus our services on our sugar waxing, which is our probably our number one service, and behind that is our lashes. So we do a lash lifts and tints, lash extensions, and then we have our organic vegan facials. And we pride ourselves on trying to keep everything as clean as possible here. I also formulate my own CBD skincare line. Some have CBD, some doesn't. We mostly have CBD in it, and it's amazing. Our clients love it here, and I've been doing that for 3 years.
Love it, love it, love it. All right.
Yes.
So let's talk about what, man, let's go back to last year before you joined the program. What were kind of the challenges that you were facing in your business, or even just the past couple of years? What were some of the struggles and kind of your journey leading up to applying for the mastermind?
Yeah, in my mind, everything was going great. I had a successful boutique here in the Claremont Village that I was running back and forth to the spa and boutique. I had my spa was great. I had a team of 9 girls here at the spa, and everything was hunky dory until I just started noticing some things, and of course the economy shift. And so I started, digging deep into my numbers and figuring out like, why am I not as profitable? The numbers look great, but why am I not as profitable? Or why am I spending so much money on all these expenses? And it just got me thinking. And as I started digging deeper into like my numbers and where I'm spending my money, our monies, I was like, okay, I think I need help. Then there's, my team members. I know I was completely overpaying them as a small business. Um, I thought paying them more would keep them, but honestly, back in October of 2022, I started really digging deep into my business and the numbers, and nothing was making sense. It looked like I had this great business, successful. My numbers were looking so good, right?
Let's get the distinction between the numbers. Your sales looked good, is that correct?
My
And from the
sales.
outside, it looks like things are popping, everybody's busy. So your digging into the numbers was really looking at, okay, sales isn't the only number that matters, because where's all the money at the end of the month? Are we
Exactly.
growing? Or are we getting less each month? Okay, okay. Just wanted to clarify
Yeah.
what numbers meant. Yeah.
And then I was like, why am I taking some numbers, some income out of my savings to cover like certain credit card expenses? And I was just nothing was making sense to me. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, oh wow, I'm a great business owner. I know all my stuff. And then I was like, oh, I don't. And one night I wasn't sleeping, and I've come across you several times in like I've seen your on Instagram, and I just was, again, I was asking the universe to please send me something, someone. I
The
need
terror just came
help.
down from the heavens. Oh, here's an ad in front of
I
you.
I think it was like 3 in the morning my time. And I don't know, you also responded, and I was like, oh wow, I guess I'm gonna have a conversation at 4 in the morning. But I think that's how we kind of started the conversation, and I met you, and we talked, and I was like, I think I need this. And at that time too, I also hired an HR consultant, which I never thought that I needed, or I just realized like all the stuff that I had put together for my spa was just, I don't know, just it wasn't quite where it needed to be as far as being legal and holding myself and my employees accountable. So it's been a journey. It's been
A
a
little
journey.
bit, a little bit. You've brushed over a lot of this stuff, but I want to
I really
draw.
did.
I know. So let's get a little bit more
I
because I
really
want it
did.
to be relatable because I think your experience is actually fairly common, which is why I
Okay.
think there's so much that you can share. So, a couple of things that happened prior to you joining the program: team issues. So, part of you jumping back and forth between the boutique and the salon is that you actually left the salon operations essentially in the hands of someone else.
I
And
did.
while that worked for a season, I think when you started digging into the numbers and really starting to see why was this not growing or why what were it just didn't things weren't adding up. Kind of talk to me about even your own awareness because look, we're not here to like throw anybody under the bus. That you were the leader, you were ultimately responsible for the business. So kind of
Right.
talk to me about the awareness that you had about where maybe you made some errors in decision making with how that relationship kind of unfolded and kind of collapsed.
Yeah, I really should have continued to manage my own company and not put it in the hands of somebody else. That was probably what why I feel like now I feel like I'm starting my whole business over again, which I'm not, but it feels that way. It was um I I trusted my business in the wrong hands, a person that could not run the company the way I wanted it ran. And
Mm-hmm.
the communication wasn't there. And and when I look back at it, it wasn't that I was checked out. I went on feelings like, oh yeah, it's fine. It's gonna be fine. No, we're fine. Oh yeah, I'm still making payroll. We're fine. Um, because I was so focused on, running a second business. It wasn't fine. It wasn't fine. And fast forward to today, none of my team members of 9 that I had working for me is currently working for me. Not one of them.
Yeah.
So
And
I
that
had to.
that is so common. And I will say this for because I say this a lot for especially those that have a larger team. When you get started in this program, and this is not necessarily because we force you to do anything like that. When you start to get structure in place to actually run your business as a business, those that basically have been riding your coattails for this long and they're the ones that are making way more money than the owner, when you start to get the reins back in so that profitability can start to increase, they don't want to go on that journey with you, which is also a hiring process issue that you hired people that were not in alignment with the mission, the vision, the value, and to some extent you didn't have an understanding of where the numbers, what was profitable, because you were like, I'm just going to pay them as much as I can to keep them. When in reality, that was like taking the business. And so
Oh,
oftentimes what
absolutely.
happens, this happens, I mean, I can say at least 4 or 5 different mastermind members
Mhm.
over the years where their entire team over a year's period of time, it's not like they all walk out at once. But when you start to get structure in place, they don't want to go along with that because they've actually been taking advantage, whether it's intentional or not, but they've been
Yeah,
freeloading essentially off of you and you've been the one struggling and the business has been the one that's struggling. That when you start to take away all of that freeloading, they don't want to go on that journey, and that's a-okay because
yeah.
part of this program teaches you the process to get people into the business that are in alignment. Because talk about your team now, you have a much smaller team now,
Oh
but
my
talk
gosh,
about
yeah.
them.
Oh my gosh, it's like night and day. And I followed exactly the onboarding process, and
Mhm.
it took like a month for me to say like, okay, let me give you an offer letter. um and I was now my team, we have clear boundaries. It's written in my employment agreement. It's written in the handbook that I hand them, and I electronically email them as well. um I have my staff biweekly sales and just collab meetings. It's clear understanding of what my expectations are of
Mm,
them as the employer. So
yeah.
my I just want to say like this that last sentence was huge because my past employees, they were running the employer. I now am an employer running my employees the way I want. I don't know if that sounds very nice, but I love my
I
girls. I love my
think more manager and
manage.
leader is
Yes,
right.
Matt.
But
I'm leading differently for
yeah,
sure. I my leadership skills. I have a voice. I have boundaries. I don't have to explain. I'll just pull out the employment agreement and have a nice little powwow and say like, this is what we agree on. Have I had to do
yeah,
that yet? No. The girls have been um I mean, have actually exceeded my expectation. Because I felt like I was trampled on and I didn't really have an expectation. I know it's written down in policies and procedures, but it's like these last few months I have really like grown up and let go and am being the leader that I know that I am and I see
yeah.
myself as. Um, and digging deep and having my faith and knowing that going forward, it's all up from here because I now have the knowledge I need to be that leader and that businesswoman that I know that I am.
Yeah, and I just want to validate because we just got off a coaching call. So we just spent an hour digging into her numbers and kind of looking at her business. And this is not uncommon that really a lot of people, you've been very successful over the past couple of years, like multi six-figure business, and yet you've been flying blind, right? Especially with some of these numbers. So even
Yes,
to this day, yes, she's kind of like restructured her business, her team is much smaller, but now it's not just about the sales. And that's kind of what we were harping in on today is you're like, oh my God, my sales are less than last year. But like sales are not the only measure of success. In fact, profitability is. And you saw, gosh, I just want to acknowledge this, and I may not translate on the podcast, but your ability now to identify where is the problem that I need to fix. Because yes, we could focus solely on increasing sales. But if you're doing $500,000 a year in sales, but it's costing you $700,000 to run your business, is that what we want?
yeah, yeah,
But you
no,
see it now. You're like, no,
yeah,
profitability is the focus. And then we can work backwards to get to that. So even right after she jumps off this episode, she's actually heading over to her accountants to have
I
a
am.
real heart to heart to be like,
I
look,
am.
these are the numbers I need. And that puts you in a place of power. Because I think in some ways you've been kind of passive, just waiting for the accountant to get you numbers, or, maybe we'll get there someday. And based on even just our call and conversation, you're very hell bent that if this is not going to work out, if you're not going to give me the numbers I need to go find somebody who can.
And I do. And I have two people in mind and I don't like again, this is like we kind of talked about this before, the kind Danielle. I'll always be there. She's always in there. But I mean, this is my business and my livelihood. And I worked a long decade, to build what I have. And I feel very blessed and grateful that but I've gone through this journey. But these last 7 months, have grown the F up.
I love it. We don't have to beep that out. Grown the F up. Love it.
I've grown the F up. I mean, and I feel now like I'm unstoppable. I can do whatever because I'm going to get those numbers. And the next conversation we have, we're going to really dive deep and know what direction we're going to go. My next step is going to be.
Difference between and explain this to me on your perspective. You run your business based off of feelings. You even just told me that you hired somebody because you felt like you
I
needed to, but
know.
we didn't actually have data to determine, is the business needing more sales from a new team member or current team members. So talk to me about what you think, either what you've experienced or what you think the benefit will be when you actually have data to make decisions in your business and you kind of remove the emotion and the feelings from the decision making process.
No, I think having the numbers right in front of you, you can see clearly where you need to focus on, right? Is it focusing on the sales, or I actually am doing well and I just need to keep doing what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
Or do I need to do some tweaks? Do I need to let go of some services that don't service anymore and
Yeah.
focus on the services that do? And then really start promoting that, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's where I will feel like I have a better understanding of what we do the best here. Even though I want to have all these great services, people are coming to us for a reason. Everything. I want it all. I want it all encompassed, right? But maybe I do have to let some things go and focus on what works best for for this company. So,
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this in the coaching call, very, very lightly, but I think you bring up a good point that a lot of times, especially when you're building out a team, if you continue to operate for your business to provide you entertainment, and so you want all the different services because you're bored and you like doing this, you like having variety in your day, that is it entertaining you, when what we're trying to build out is a consistent, structured, process-based business, which is actually pretty boring, because that's what gives you stability in your team and control over the finances and numbers. You can go get a hobby to entertain yourself. You don't use your business to entertain yourself. And I think I did this in a
yeah,
podcast episode not too long ago, where it's like, going from 6 figures to 7 figures is the boring work. It is not the, when we're just trying to get to $100,000, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this service, I'm going to do this service, I'm going to add on this service. And it's like, you kind of get used to the chaos and just pivoting and making changes and adjustments. But when you're starting to build out a team and get processes in place, it's really hard to do those pivots and add in new things, because it creates chaos from what your team is already trying to do and trying the direction you move you in. So it's being mindful about, my business is not there to entertain me. I can go outside of my business to get entertainment, to get that stimulation. Like, you have your passion project of building your skincare. That's where a lot of your entertainment and creative energies come out. When it comes to
yeah.
your business, the numbers are what are going to tell you what to do. And oftentimes it's do what you're already doing, just doing it better,
Mhm.
optimized, focusing on profitability, right? And so I think
Yeah.
that's also part of what you're seeing here too, is you've really condensed what you've had going on in your business over the last couple of years. You brought the boutique into the spa. It's kind of all merged as one, and now you're getting the numbers in place so you can make informed decisions there, because that will free up both time and money so that you can go
Mhm.
do things with your personal life. Take vacations with your family, which you did last month, right? And your business
I
still made money
did.
and it was still
Yes.
open. So let's talk about some of the perks of, what is it that you're really enjoying about your business this year, even though it's not as big as it was last year.
Oh, I being this new leader, having the respect I deserve in my own business, and knowing that I have the tools now to get my 6 figures into the 7 figure. I can do
Mhm.
that. I know I can. So I just, it's almost like little light bulbs every time I learn something, these little light bulbs go off. And it's like, oh, okay, yes, we need to work on that. And, go home, do the work, and then bring it back into the spa and, continue to grow. I think that's the biggest thing, and not stress out as much and nitpick on the little things. Just let those things go and trust that you're doing the work, and trust that it's going to come back, and twofold in benefit, not only
Yeah.
me, not only the company, but my team.
And your family. Can you talk about some of the stuff that you've been able to do and kind of your perspective shifts on time spent with your family?
Yeah, that's huge. The biggest, I think I said this to you before, but my family's biggest complaint is their time with me, or I work too much and all of these things. And I have put boundaries on that. I get home at a certain time. We have dinner at a certain time. I made sure that I brought my whole family together on vacation, and I kept them on a cruise ship all together. So like, they couldn't get away. It was so nice that I got to have dinner with my family the whole 7 days we were on vacation,
Yeah.
and breakfast, and not so much lunch, because we were all over. But oh my gosh, we were together. We did these adventures, and not to say that we haven't done it in the past, but this one was extra special for me, because I don't have any kids anymore. All my kids are adults, and we're adulting together, and it's just a whole different feeling to be with them. And sometimes we think they're adults, and you want to be the parent, but actually they're your like little best friends, and you get to reconnect and see what's going on in their lives while we're just relaxing. And then
Yeah.
get me now. I was in bed by like 9:30 every
Oh,
night.
it's amazing. That's amazing. It's okay. It's okay. You've earned a full night's sleep. They're fine. They're taking care of themselves. But they wanted
I
to
was,
spend more time with you and you got to be present for that.
yeah, yeah. And they had such a good time. They stayed up, they went into the clubs, including my husband with them, and they gambled. I guess they're little gambling fools, but I was asleep. That boat rocks you. You don't even know.
Love it.
I
Well,
I think I slept for more than 7 days than I have in like the last 7 months.
chef's kiss. That's a win right there. I will take that. I will take that. So you're also taking what, 4 days off for Mother's Day weekend? Just because.
I did. This is my second 4 day off. Like, if I can tell you what I've been through the last 7 months, it was kind of scary. And I don't recommend this for anyone, but I wasn't taking any days off. I was working, Monday to there was no days off. In January to March, I did not take hardly any days off, maybe 3 days off. That whole time I was under extreme stress and I can feel it in my body and my soul. And I just said, no more. I remember driving to work one morning and I was very emotional, might get emotional about it now, but I said, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, God, help me. You take the reins. You help me. I can't do this anymore. And I just let go. Oh my gosh. And from that moment on of letting go and just like knowing everything's going to be okay, I started taking days off again. So this is my second 4 day weekend off since March, and I took a week vacation.
Yeah. So in 2 months, you've taken a week vacation and had 2 4-day weekends. And because you've brought it up, she actually hid from us for the first like 2 months of the program because you
I
were
did.
going through some stuff.
I
And
was.
we were actively trying to reach out to you and support you. So just
And you
to
never gave up.
clarify, I didn't.
You
I didn't.
never gave
When
up
you
on me.
commit to
Thank
me, I
you.
commit to you. I'm a stage 5 clinger. I will find you. But it does
That was
not
so
surprise
funny.
me that you got to the point where, because it was in March, that you finally were like, okay, let's do this. And
Mhm.
we started working together and you've had some one-on-one sessions. We've dived into things. We've been talking about a lot of it, what's going on. And it really has been a very rapid transformation because we're middle of May at the time of this recording. So it's been maybe 6 8 weeks. And how much can change in such a little bit of time, but you have to be ready and you have to also put in that effort. And I think
Yeah.
especially with what was happening and all the shock, especially if we hadn't had that established relationship, like the retreat was very early on and you couldn't make it to the retreat.
Oh
So
yeah, I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I had my plane ticket. I had my husband coming. We had a whole thing planned.
yeah,
I mean, we were gonna do Tennessee for a few days, then head over to Vegas, do Super Bowl weekend, come home, have such a great Valentine's, the whole thing, right? Could not get on that plane.
I know. I know. But again, it's happening for you and not to you. So I know how much difference it would have made had you just gotten on the plane. However, that is not reality and what ended up happening. And so the trajectory of what happened after that was very much to your benefit, as miserable as it was. Right. And what the cool thing is when you come to our retreat in June, it's going to blow your mind. I know I oversell or don't oversell the retreats. I hype them up, but they're that good. And especially when you get in a room with the other women and you are in that energy and you're in that connection and you're in that vulnerability and you're in that space, it is unlike anything else, which is why we do 2 retreats a season now. And so I just want to acknowledge and honor, it has not been an easy journey for you. I know out of probably everybody else in the group now, we've had lots of stuff going on. Life happens when you're running a business, and that's why it's nice to have a program like this where there's support, not just from Team Lashpreneur, myself, the coaches, but also from your fellow members, because they're living life too, actively dealing with some we've had some pretty catastrophic things happen personally to some of the members, and they're still running businesses, and they're still impacting their team, and they're still impacting their communities. And so it is the mix of doing it messy, not going to be perfect, but we can still grow, impact, and empower so many women through what we do with our businesses and our companies. And that's really the culture that we try to create with this program. So thank you so much
Yeah.
for being a part of it. Thank you so much for diving into it, for getting the help and support, for being vulnerable and saying, I don't have it all figured out. It's not perfect. It's messy. And we are in the trenches with you and we are working to get you out of it. And it's
Yeah.
such a big deal to me when somebody trusts me enough to allow me to coach them, even in the muck and the mud and the I don't know the way out of this. So thank you
Yeah.
personally for me for giving me that
Oh,
opportunity.
well, you're very welcome. And I want to thank you for not giving up on me. And I mean, I pride myself on going on these women retreats, digging deep, doing breath work, finding my animal spirit, living my spiritual life. But no one has broken down like the deep core stuff. Then that session that we did has like transformed me, which I know we still need to do more, and I'm
Oh, we
open
will.
to it.
We will.
But man, like all of a sudden I see like things a lot more clearer. Like I couldn't believe I was holding on to so much stuff. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, inner
appreciate it.
child work
And thank not
is
giving up.
powerful. I'm not done with
Yes,
you yet. We just getting started, but it really can turn around very quickly, even when you're in the pits of despair and you feel like there's no way out. And I the reason why a lot of the tools that I use in coaching are so effective is because they're what's worked for me, and it is a
yeah,
lot of me learning. Because look, I go through ish all the time. I had a breakdown last night. Like I am not immune to not having problems. It's
yeah,
just learning those tools so that I can help others too, so that you can have that clarity and understanding about yourself of like, okay, my inner child is driving the bus right now. Like she's the one that's making decisions. She's a little scared. Let's go honor her. Let's, and it sounds very woo woo, but it is very practical and very
it is.
real when we start to uncover that and know that that's what's driving these decisions and the fear or the self sabotage or all that kind of stuff. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's powerful. I love that stuff. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's do one last thing. So let's have you. So if you were to, let's say Danielle from today could time travel back to Danielle from 7 months ago,
Ah,
and what advice could you give her that would help her know that there's hope ahead, that like there's community, there's support, there's programs out there like this one that really can be all the difference and that it's going to be okay? What advice would you give her?
oh, that's a really good question. I thought about that too, like the Danielle now going back, 7 months ago. I mean, the biggest thing is that you do have a voice, you are a leader. Like you have to, this is your business. This isn't no one else's business, but your business. And just believe in yourself, have the strength, and whatever fears that you have, just know it's going to be okay. I went through every fear ever imaginable in the last 7 months. And I'm still here. I'm still, I still have my business. We're still here. I'm still growing. So, just letting go of that fear and being the true leader that you can be.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, Danielle. And it's okay, Danielle now.
Yes.
It is.
And tomorrow you'll be okay. And the next day you'll be okay.
We'll be
Uh,
okay.
if somebody's sitting on the fence weighing whether this is the right decision for them,
Mhm.
what advice would you give them to help them decide one way or the other?
Oh, like you, the coach, like just trust. I know it's an investment, and trust, because you are not going to let anyone go once they sign up. You're going to be knocking at their door, and trust that you came here for a reason, and just go through it. Go through it's a lot of work. I'm still how many months into it? I'm still getting my numbers together. I'm still working it through. But you have to have that time to invest back. If you want to have a successful business, you do have to take the time to make it successful and know your numbers and get through the process. And it's a lot. And I've been in it for how many months, and I'm still scratching the surface trying to get it all done. And it will get done. But I mean, there's a lot of information, and you learn a lot, and the tools are right there. You don't have to go scrambling, you don't have to go Googling anymore. It's right there. You just have to put the time in and get it done.
Yeah, I would agree. It's I think to your point, it is what you make it, right? It's all the tools are there, all the support is there. We're going to hound you if you don't show up. You've got the community there, and so what's beautiful about the coaching component to this is if you're getting in your own way, that's where the coaching helps. That's where we dive into you as the individual, because the how-tos, the step-by-steps, they're all there, right? You need
Yeah.
to generate more sales. You need to build clients. You need to know how to hire somebody. Like, all the step-by-steps are there. But if you're not actively going in and implementing that, it's because it's what's happening between the ears. And that's really where that coaching piece comes in, where the retreats are really powerful. People change after retreats. It's like a light switches, and they're just freed from so much that was holding them back. We do breath work at the retreats, which is a really powerful tool to release a lot of these blocks. And so if you find that you know a lot of things, or you're at least resourceful enough to go like Google it, but you just can't get yourself to do it, or you've got fears, or you're projecting like all worst case scenario thinking, that coaching component is going to be major, major, major. Yeah.
That was one of the biggest things, is the coaching. That's where I was in the beginning. I was just going through the videos and things were overwhelming. And again, my brain was exploding and I just couldn't, I was shutting down. And then, you being like, you who are you alive? Like, come and talk, make an appointment, let's get together, keeping me accountable, and showing up, right? Showing up. And when you show up, like, the transformation starts to happen. And now I feel like my brain is like open, so I can dive deep into every tool that you provide for us.
Yeah. We get you a plan of action, and we start developing the strategy right now. Like we said, after this call, she's going to go get the numbers, because we really can't move forward on strategy until we have those numbers. All right. I'll let you get to your accountant. All right. For those of you that are interested in applying for season 4 of Momentum Mastermind, applications are open until June 9th. So go to lashpreneur.com/mastermind to apply. If you have questions and want to see if this is the right fit for you, go ahead and DM me on Instagram at @thelashpreneur, and let's chat. Otherwise, Danielle, thank you so much. I'm not done with you. You'll hear more from Danielle, but thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey. I appreciate you.